Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Emma. She was 25 years old and lived in a small town with her mother, Margaret. Margaret was a loving and kind woman, but she was getting older and her health was starting to decline. Despite this, she always supported Emma's dreams and encouraged her to live her life to the fullest. Emma had always dreamed of travelling the world. She would spend hours reading about distant lands, imagining the adventures she could have. But there was something holding her back: her mother. Margaret was all Emma had left since her father had passed away years ago. They were close, and Emma didn't want to leave her mother alone. But deep inside, she felt a strong desire to explore the world and find herself. One day, after much thought, Emma decided to follow her dreams. She told her mother about her plan to travel the world. Margaret smiled, though her heart ached. "You must live your life, Emma," she said softly. "Don't worry about me. I'll be here waiting for you when you come back." Emma hugged her mother tightly, promising to return soon. She knew it would be hard to leave, but she believed it was something she had to do. Margaret watched as Emma packed her bags, her eyes filled with love and worry. The day Emma left, Margaret stood at the door, waving goodbye, trying to hide the sadness in her heart. She watched until Emma disappeared down the road, her heart heavy with the knowledge that she might never see her daughter again. Emma's first stop was Paris, France. The city was everything she had imagined: beautiful, vibrant, and full of life. She spent her days exploring the streets, visiting museums, and tasting French cuisine. But at night, when she returned to her small hotel room, she couldn't shake the feeling of guilt. She missed her mother and wondered if she had made the right decision. Back home, Margaret missed Emma terribly. Every day she would sit by the door, waiting for her daughter to return. She would tell herself that Emma was living her dreams and that she should be happy for her. But the house felt so empty without her. Margaret's health began to worsen, but she kept her promise to herself. She would wait for Emma, no matter how long it took. After a few weeks in Paris, Emma travelled to Rome, Italy. Rome was a city full of history and culture, and Emma was captivated by its beauty. She visited the Colosseum, the Vatican, and the ancient ruins. She met new people, made friends, and felt alive in a way she hadn't before. But even in the midst of her adventures, there was a constant ache in her heart. Every time Emma looked at a beautiful sunset or tasted something new, she wished her mother could be there with her. She wrote letters to Margaret, telling her about everything she was experiencing, but deep down, she felt a growing sense of unease. She knew her mother was getting older, and she feared that time was slipping away. Back home, Margaret's health continued to decline. She became weaker and found it harder to move around the house. But every day she would still sit by the door, looking out at the road, hoping to see Emma walking toward her. She held on to the letters Emma sent, reading them over and over, drawing comfort from her daughter's words. But the emptiness in her heart grew with each passing day. Emma's next destination was Kyoto, Japan. Kyoto was a peaceful and serene city, a stark contrast to the bustling streets of Rome. Emma found solace in the quiet temples, the beautiful gardens, and the calmness of the bamboo forests. She began to reflect on her journey, on what she had learned, and on what she had left behind. One evening, as Emma sat by a small pond in a temple garden, she thought of her mother. She could picture her sitting by the door, waiting. The thought filled her with a deep sadness. She realized that while she had been searching for herself, she had left behind the one person who had always been there for her. She knew she needed to go home, but she also felt that she had come too far to turn back now. Back home, Margaret grew weaker by the day. The once strong woman who had raised Emma with love and care was now frail and tired. But she kept her promise. Every day she would sit by the door, looking out at the road, waiting for Emma to come back. Her heart ached with longing, but she never lost hope. Emma's final stop was Bali, Indonesia. Bali was a place of natural beauty with its lush green rice fields, clear blue waters, and stunning sunsets. But for Emma, it was also a place of deep reflection. She felt a strong pull to return home, but she also wanted to finish what she had started. In Bali, Emma climbed Mount Batur, an active volcano. The climb was difficult, and as she reached the top, she looked out at the sunrise. The sky was painted with shades of orange and pink, and the view was breathtaking. But instead of feeling joy, Emma felt a deep sense of sorrow. She knew that she had to go home. She had been away for too long. As Emma prepared to leave Bali and return home, she received a call that changed everything. Her mother had passed away. Margaret had held on as long as she could, but she had slipped away quietly, sitting by the door, waiting for her daughter to return. Emma's heart broke. She had been so focused on finding herself that she had lost the one person who meant everything to her. Emma returned home with a heavy heart. The house felt empty, colder than she remembered. Her mother's chair by the door was empty, a silent reminder of the time she could never get back. Emma walked through the house, her heart aching with grief. She found her mother's letters, the ones she had written while she was away. Margaret had kept them all carefully tucked away in a drawer. Emma sat down and read the letters, tears streaming down her face. She realized how much her mother had missed her, how she had waited every day hoping to see her daughter come back. Emma felt a deep sense of regret. She had wanted to find herself, but in doing so, she had lost something far more precious. She went to the cemetery where her mother was buried. The sky was grey, and the air was heavy with the scent of rain. Emma knelt by her mother's grave, her heart filled with sorrow. She whispered words of love and apology, knowing they were too late. Her mother was gone, and there was nothing she could do to change that. Emma stayed by her mother's grave for a long time, reflecting on the choices she had made. She realized that the journey she had taken was not just about finding herself, but about understanding the true meaning of love and sacrifice. She had wanted to live her dreams, but in the end, she had learned that the most important journey was the one she had taken with her mother, even if she hadn't realized it at the time. As Emma stood up to leave, she felt a sense of peace. She knew her mother would have forgiven her, would have wanted her to be happy. But she also knew that she would carry this loss with her for the rest of her life. It was a part of her now, a reminder of the love she had left behind. Emma returned to her small town, to the house that was now hers alone. She continued to write in her journal, capturing the memories of her journey. She shared her story with others, hoping to inspire them to cherish the ones they love, to never take time for granted. She knew that the lessons she had learned would stay with her forever. And so, Emma's journey of self-discovery came to an end, but the memory of her mother and the love they shared would live on in her heart forever.